For today's video, I just wanted to do a really pretty eyeshadow look focused around this blue-brown shadow all over my lids. I used a couple different palettes today, but I just had this look in mind and I am absolutely in love with how my makeup looks right now. So if you want to see how I got this look in a close-up eyeshadow tutorial, go ahead and keep on watching. I want to show you the shadows I'm thinking of using before we dive into this to kind of show you like my thought process of what shades to use. So I know for sure I definitely want to use the Stoned palette again. I just cannot get enough of this palette. It is so beautiful. I did a whole video about this palette. I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. I think today I want to try out this blue-brown shade. So I'm going to swatch this for you. So you can see just like how shifty this shadow is. It has a brown base to it, but with blue pigment on top. It is so pretty. Back when I was getting into makeup in like high school, I wasn't a big MAC girly, but they had a pigment called blue-brown and it was just like this. And I would wear that blue-brown pigment like all throughout the fall. It's such a pretty color, so I haven't used this kind of shade in a while. But I know that the Adept Flying Fiddles also has a similar shade to this, so I kind of wanted to swatch these two side by side just to see the formula. So in Flying Fiddles, the shade Blue Crown is kind of that blue-brown pigment, so I want to swatch these two to kind of show you the difference. So again, this is one in Stoned, this is one in Flying Fiddles. They both have the same kind of color. Like the base shade in the Adept one is so much more like rich, I guess. Like there's way more brown in it, whereas the one in Stoned is a bit more iridescent. I kind of want to like pair these together. I don't know. I like that this one has the base, but I love the iridescence of this shade. You see what I mean though? But whenever I wear a shade like this, I like to pair it with some warm brown. So I pulled out the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. I haven't used this palette in a minute and I was thinking of like this side of the palette. So that's kind of what I'm thinking today. It might change as we go along, but I just wanted to show you like my initial thought process. And then I did already prime my eyes. I'm using the Anastasia eye primer and I set that with the translucent powder. So let's zoom in and do some eyeshadow. Refer sent me some more eyeshadow brushes. So I'm going to be using their brushes today, kind of switch it up a little bit. I am going to start with the Blue Crown shade from the Flying Fiddles palette just because it has that nice base to it. So I'm going to take that on this flat lid brush. I did just spray my brush with some setting spray because I want some really good pigment for these shadows. So let's apply this all over the lid. I also did post a whole video about this Flying Fiddles palette. It was my first time trying Adept shadows and I kind of had some mixed feelings on it. So everyone was like, just try the palette again, like keep trying to use it. So that's what I want to do today. I'm going to try a little bit more with my finger. Type of color is just so cool. Now I'm just going to take a little crease blending brush and start to blend out the edges of this shadow in my crease. Alright, so I'm just kind of softening out all these edges. I'm blending the shade up towards my crease, but I'm definitely going to add some matte shades next. Going into the Empowered palette, I'm going to pick up Keep Going on that crease brush. And I'm going to apply this shade throughout my crease to add some depth, a little bit of this matte shade, which I definitely think we need. So I'm kind of blending this matte shade throughout like my entire crease. I'm kind of doing a really blown out look today. I'm always so impressed with these Rephr brushes when I use them. My only complaint is that I wish the handles were a little bit longer. Now on that lid brush I used, I'm going to pick up Confident and I'm going to use that to deepen up the outer part of my lid. I'm going to start by packing on this shadow and then I'm going to blend it out. Switching back to my crease brush, blending out the edges of this shadow. Now I'm gonna build up Confident a little bit more. I feel like this shade goes really nice with this blue-brown shadow. So I'm just adding a lot of depth right out here. I will clean up this line later on with concealer, so I'm not like too worried with how sloppy this is out there. Now in the Stoned palette, I'm gonna pick up this blue-brown shade, and I'm hoping this is gonna add like the iridescence, super shimmeriness that I want. And this is gonna go on the inner part of my lid. Yeah. You see like how the reflectiveness in this shade is just like, it's so much more intense than the Adept one in my opinion. But these shades do go beautifully together since they're like pretty much the same type of color, you know? Back to my crease brush and I'm softly blending around that shimmer. Now I'm gonna show you how I clean up my under eye with the concealer. I'm using the Natasha Denona one in RN3. So I'm going to apply that right here as usual in the inner part. And then I'll do a slight line outwards. Then the brush I've been loving for under my eyes is the BK Beauty and Nikki LaRose N14. I actually lost the original brush of this that I got in PR, so I ended up purchasing another one because I missed it so much. It just has the perfect kind of fluffy shape to fit under your eyes and like a slight point at the top to really help clean up these edges. So I'm gonna use this brush and start to pat in the concealer. And then I kind of use the tip of the brush to help me clean up this edge of the eyeshadow. So you can see I'm just doing a patting motion. And sometimes it kind of helps me to like squint my eyes a little bit so I can follow this line from my lower lash line outwards. And then I will set my under eyes with the Lunar Beauty powder. I went ahead and got all the pigment off of my crease brush with my Sigma switch. And with nothing on this brush, I'm gonna softly blend along this line just so it's a little bit less harsh. I'm just kind of softly patting right on top of it. Now for the lower lash line, I'm gonna take that matte brown Keep Going shade from the Empowered palette on the tip of that lid brush I used earlier. And I'm gonna run the shade across my entire lower lash line. Ugh, I'm just loving these colors right now, especially with my blue eyes. Like, I'm like so happy as I'm doing this. Now I'm gonna pick up a little bit of this Get It shade on the tip of my crease brush. This shade looks very peachy and a little scary, but I wanna try this to kind of blend out the lower lash line. And this will also add a lot more warmth as well. The reason I like to pair these warm brown shades with this kind of blue brown all over my lid is because the warmth is gonna contrast the bluiness of the tones and just really make it stand out and pop. Okay, this shade is working just as I wanted it to. Yay. I'm liking this Get It shade a lot, so I might add a little bit kind of in my inner crease right here, maybe throughout my upper crease. No, I just like what this shadow is doing, so I'm gonna add some right up here. Just very lightly. Now I'm gonna take this pencil brush with more of that deep shade at Confident, and I'm gonna run that across the outer part of my lower lash line. And then since I have this tiny brush, I'm also going to touch up Confident on that very outer part of my upper lid. I am loving how this look is turning out so far. Again, taking my Sigma switch to clean off this little pencil brush. Look at that, all the pigment is off of it and now I won't get any darkness. Now I'm gonna take Honey Spurge from the Flying Fiddles palette and I'm gonna pop that in my inner corner. I've been obsessed with this as my highlighter shade since I got this palette. Look at how bright that is. And then a little bit under my brow. Okay, off camera, I went ahead and popped on a nude liner in my waterline. This one is by Tarte. And then obviously I just put on mascara. I'm wearing the e.l.f. Lash Extender. Now something very exciting today, I just launched a new half lash for my brand, The Bright Lashes. And this half lash is called Whisper. So this half lash is different than my other half lashes because it is shorter than the rest of them. If you're familiar with my lash brand, my two styles, Minimalist and Nova, are shorter than your typical lash, which are great for people with hooded eyes, if you wear glasses, or you just don't like a super long, overpowering lash. So I wanted to make a half lash that's similar to Minimalist and Nova, where it's in that shorter lash category. So here is what Whisper looks like right out of the box. And the great thing about half lashes is that you don't need to trim them when you apply them, but you totally can if you want to. So I'm going to apply the lash as is. I'm going to put on my Duo Brush On Lash Glue, and then I like to use my fingers to pop on the lash on my outer corner. So I'm gonna let that lash dry down completely before I like squeeze it together. But I love how this lash looks. It also has a really nice curl to it. So it kind of reminds me of like what lash extensions look like on myself personally. As you can see that the lash isn't too long. It's not going to touch my eyebrows. So once the lash has dried down completely, I'm gonna take a little lash tool and I'm gonna squeeze my natural lashes with the fake ones. And now I just like to take a little bit of a matte black shadow on a small angled brush, and I'm going to stamp that along the lash band to kind of hide it with my eyeshadow. And that is what the new half lash Whisper looks like, and it is available now on my website, thebrightlashes.com. I went ahead and finished the rest of my makeup, and I feel so pretty right now. I love how this entire look turned out, and I just got a haircut yesterday, so I'm just like, I'm feeling myself right now. For my blush, I started with the cream blush. This is the Rose Ink blush in Heliotrope, and then I topped that off with the Patrick Ta powder blush in She's Blushing, this super pigmented one, but I love how this warmer tone looks with the warmer tones in the eyes. For my bronzer, I'm wearing my Rare Beauty bronzer stick in Power Boost. My highlighter is Rare Beauty Exhilarate. And then for my lips, I'm wearing my Makeup by Mario lip liner in Smoky Pink with the Makeup by Mario lip plumping serum in Nude Glow. Good thing my boyfriend and I are going out on a date because this look is perfect for date night. I love just getting to play with a bunch of different palettes today and kind of just doing the look that I wanted to do. This blue brown shade all over my lid is absolutely beautiful, but again, I did mix the one from Flying Fiddles and the Stoned palette. Don't forget that my new half lash Whisper is available now on thebrightlashes.com. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.